Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another poker vlog. Before we begin, I have an announcement to make. I'll be going to Vegas for WSOP and to do a little bit of vlogging from June the 8th to the 22nd. So if you see me, feel free to come up and say hi. Okay, let's get into the vlog. Now, normally, you guys might have noticed that my vlogs are of my 10-25 sessions. You guys don't see me vlog a lot of the 1-3 sessions or 2-5, and that's because I thought that you guys might want to see the bigger games that I play, but some people were actually telling me that they'd like to see me play the smaller stakes like 2-5 or 1-3. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be showing you one of the 1-3 sessions that I've played. And if you guys enjoy it, please let me know in the comments below and I'll make more 1-3 sessions. Or you can tell me that you prefer the 10-25 sessions. Your comments will greatly help me figure out what you guys want to see. So let's get into it. We start the game off 6-handed and buy in for $300. UTG limps for $3 and we decide to open the action to $15 with Ace-9 offsuit in the hijack. It folds around back to the under the gun and he makes the call. We go heads up to the flop. The flop comes 9-5-3 with 2 clubs. He donks for $10 and with top pair and a backdoor flush draw, I make the call. The turn's the jack of diamonds and he fires again, this time for $20. I'm still feeling good with my pair of 9s, so I make the call. The river's the jack of hearts and he bets $20 once again. I'm not losing too much here since I beat all his 9s, so unless he flopped a set or turned a jack, I'm always just gonna be good here. I make the call and he shows pocket deuces, we caught him bluffing, we table our hand and we're off to a good start. For the next hand we can pick up Ace-9 once again, but this time it's suited and on the button. It folds around to me and we open it up to $10. The small blind folds and the big blind, who's a decent player, thinks for a bit and 3-bets me to $25. He must have misclicked or something because this sizing makes no sense. He's out of position and will generate just about 0 fold equity. The only option for me that makes sense with our hand is just to call. I don't want to 4-bet and get trapped, so I do just that. I make the call and we go to a flop heads up. The flop comes Jack 6-3 rainbow. He c-bets $15 into a pot of about $50. I have 1 overcard and backdoor diamonds, so that's good enough for me. I make the call. I'm pretty happy with the turn. It's the ace of spades. The big blind now sizes up his bet and bets $125, a little over pot. I call the flop trying to hit an ace or a diamond, and now that we hit our card, I think I'm going to commit to this hand. Even though I've already made the decision to commit, that doesn't mean I should just go all in here. Calling is better to potentially keep some of his bluffs in. I am, however, going to be calling any river here. The river is probably the best card I can hope for. It's the 9 of hearts, giving us 2 pair to beat all better aces except ace-jack. He goes all in and I of course snap, and he turns over ace-king. Let's hear his reaction.
Oh, river.
Oh my lord.
That's right, we get super lucky on the river to crack his ace-king and we get a full double up about 1 hour into the session. We are about 2 hours in our session and roughly up $400. A new player sits down, so now it's 7-handed, and that's when we pick up pocket queens in the small blind. UTG opens to $10 and the hijack flats. We are going to 3-bet our hand to $60. It folds around back to the hijack and he decides to double flat and call the $60. Remember what I said about double flatting in the last video? Especially in early and mid position? It's bad. Don't make the same mistake he did. Going heads up to the flop, it comes Jack 5-3, 2 diamonds and 1 spade. In a low stakes game, I don't really like to slow play my hand too much. I c-bet $50 and notice how he's holding his cards. Players that are often strong won't be holding their cards like this. They'll often try to protect their hand more closely. Anyway, it's just a read I have. He makes the call and we're gonna see a turn. We hit an amazing turn. It's the Queen of Hearts. And once again, just look at how he's holding the cards. I just think he's really weak and most likely drawing dead. I bet really small to try to get a call here. $50 once again. And again, he calls and we're gonna go to see a river. The river's the ace of spades. He's only got about $90 left in his stack. I try to go all in to get the rest of it. and it seems like our read was right. He decides he wants to keep his last $90. He folds. I was nice enough to show the table my winning hand as I drag in a nice pot. Things keep getting better for us because now we pick up pocket aces in the cutoff. The low jack limps $3 and we're gonna raise it up here to 15. The blinds both fold and the low jack that limped calls the $15, sending up heads up to the flop. The flop comes 8, 9, 3 rainbow, and now he leads $15. We're not gonna go anywhere with our overpair. We just have to decide between calling or raising. I like both, but I decide to make the call, and we go to a turn. The turn's the 8 of diamonds, and now he bets $30. And from my experience, when people lead on the flop, it's generally top pair and not second pair. So the 8 is a pretty safe card for both of us. I can raise here, but calling's also fine to keep some bluffs in. I do make the call, and we're gonna see a river. The river's the king of clubs, and he checks. And now I want to bet to try to get value from a 9. That's the most likely hand that he has here. I bet $60, which is half the pot, giving him a good price. He takes the bait and makes the call. We show him our hand, and things just keep getting better for us. Alright, let's keep the ball rolling. We are sitting on an $850 stack from our initial $300 buy-in. The table is finally a full 9-handed game, and we decide to change the game from 1-3 to 2-5. This normally happens after midnight. We pick up pocket kings in UTG +1 and open up the action to $15. The cutoff and small blind both call, and we enter the flop 3 ways. The flop comes queen 4-4 rainbow, and I don't put neither of them on a 4. The small blind checks, and I c-bet $25, hoping to get a call from a queen or pocket pairs. The cutoff gets out of the way, and the small blind makes the call. We now go to a turn heads up. The turn's a 9 of hearts, which is a pretty good card for me. Queen 9 is in villain's range, and that's a hand I'm already beating. It also brings in a lot of draws, so when the small blind checks, I can just keep betting here. I bet $60, and after a moment of thinking, he makes the call. The river's the 6 of hearts, and he checks. He should rarely have a flush here. I'm 99% sure I got him beat here. The question is just how much to bet. The pot's about $160, and I go for a big bet here to make it look like I have ace king, trying to bully him out of the pot. I overbet $250, and he snap calls to show us he has queen jack of spades, exactly the type of hand that we're targeting. I'm pretty happy with how I played the hand, and we pull in another big pot. A few hands later, we pick up pocket 7s on the button. The low jack limps $5, the hijack raises up to 20, and on the button, I'm going to be calling a lot of my middle pocket pairs here and set mine in position. So I call, the small blind calls, and the low jack calls as well. We're going to go 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes queen 5-3. Everyone checks to me, and I don't think there's really a point of me betting into 4 people here. I have a little bit of showdown value with my pocket 7s, so I check as well. The turn is exactly what I wanted to see. It's the 7 of diamonds. It checks to the hijack, and now he bets $45. He was the pre-flop aggressor, so he might have a queen in his hand and checked on the flop to pot control a little bit. Raising here, I think is a little bit too strong. I'm just gonna call to try to get value on the river. All the other player folds, and we go to a river heads up. The river's the 3 of spades, and now he fires again for $75. I'm hoping he's got a hand like pocket aces or pocket kings. I raised $325, maybe trying to rep a missed flush draw. My line is really strong, so I don't expect to be called a lot here. He thinks about it for about 30 seconds before letting his hand go, and we're just gonna pick up another pot. Next, we pick up a fun hand, 10-8 of hearts on the hijack. There's a limp from middle position, and we're going to open the action up to $20. The cutoff, an aggressive player, 3 bets us to $85. It folds around back to us, and normally I'd just fold this hand, but that's boring. I'm going to give a little bit of action here. I make the call. Going heads up to the flop, it comes 7-5-3, 2 hearts, giving me a flush draw and a gutter. I love this flop. I check to the cutoff, and he does something really strange. He just decides to go all in. It's $700 for me to call, and the pot is only $180. That's a 4x pot size jam. I need about 44% equity to call here. If I assume he has an overpair, then even with all my outs being live, I only have about 40% equity, and it gets worse if his overpair contains a heart. I make the tough decision to just fold and wait for a better spot. Normally, I don't rabbit hunt, but this is the one of the few times where I actually want to see the run out. The dealer puts a 7 of diamonds on the turn and a 10 of spades on the river. We miss everything, and now I don't feel too bad about folding my hand. For this next hand, we get dealt ace 8 of hearts in the hijack. It folds to me, and I open the action to $15. The small blind 3 bets to $50, and normally this is just one of those hands where it's better as a fold, but once again I decide to see a flop, so I make the call. The flop comes ace 5 deuce. He c-bets $50, and with us having top pair, I think it's a pretty easy call here. The turn's the king of spades, and now he slows down and actually checks. I don't expect him to slow down too much with a good ace, so him checking probably means that he picked up some sort of showdown equity, maybe a hand like king queen, or he's got like pocket tens looking to pot control. I think I can opt to either bet for value or check the turn here and call a river bet. I decide checking here is good, so I do just that, and we're gonna see a river. The river's the 3 of spades, which is a pretty bricky card. He checks, and when he checks the turn and the river, I think his hand is pretty capped here. I'm pretty sure if he had an ace, he would have bet. The best hand he can have here is likely king queen. He can also have a bunch of pocket pairs, so I bet half the pot, $100, to try to get called by a wide variety of hands. Villain thinks about it for a couple of seconds before tossing in a black chip. We confidently show him our hand, and we're good. We take down the pot. The player sits down, and now we're 8-handed. Things are going pretty great for us, and we're now dealt pocket tens in the big blind. The low jack limps $5. He's a little bit tilted from losing a big hand earlier. He's got a short stack and hasn't reloaded. The cutoff raises to $15. The button calls, and with our hand, I think raising or calling are both valid choices here. I don't really see the low jack folding when he limps and he's facing such a small open, so I just call knowing he's also gonna call, and we're gonna get a good price to set mine. The low jack though doesn't call. He decides to try to pick up the dead money right here and now and goes all in for $126 total. The cutoff folds and the button calls $126. Now the button calling makes him pretty capped here. I expect him to 3-bet all his strong hands or to put in a raise with some value to isolate the low jack. He's got about $400 behind. I decide to try to deny big blind of all his equity by putting him all in to make him surrender the 126 that he put in. I go all in. He gives a painful look knowing that I can potentially be holding a monster here and folds. Our plan works out. We now have an extra $126 in the pot that wasn't there before. Now we just have to win it. We have an all-in policy here, and I'm really happy to see him flip over ace-9 offsuit, giving us a 70% lead. Things get better for us as we end up flopping quads. The turn and the river is just a formality. At this point, he's drawing dead. Poker sure is easy when you can flop quads. For this next hand, we are dealt king 10 of clubs in the cutoff. We're gonna open up the action and raise it up to $15. The button, who's a wealthy and aggressive whale, raises to $40. The blinds fold, and I definitely want to play a pot with this player, so I call and we go heads up to a flop. The flop comes rainbow 10 high. We're gonna range check here and hope the aggressive whale continues betting, and he does just that. He puts out a bet of $40. We make the call, and we're gonna see a turn. The turn's a safe deuce of clubs, and we actually pick up a flush draw. I still lose to all his overpairs, but due to the nature of how aggressive Villain is, I'm just gonna check and let him keep bluffing with a lot of his hands that contain over cards. He quickly puts out a bet of $75. There's no point in raising here. He's just gonna call with all his overpairs and fold out all the hands that I'm beating. I'm just gonna call to keep his bluffs in. The river's a perfect card. It's the 10 of hearts. I'm sure we have the best hand now. I check it over for him because I know he's just gonna probably bet his entire range here. If he's bluffing, he's gonna try to steal the pot, or if he has an overpair, he's gonna try to go for value. He wastes no time and snap bets $125 when I check to him. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I posture for a few seconds before I say the magic words.
All in.
He obviously doesn't snap call, which is always a good sign. I'm hoping he has a huge hand like aces that just can't get away. Unfortunately, he makes a good laydown here and asks if I have a 10. I kind of want to keep this player happy, so I happily show him what I have, and we take down another huge pot. With the conclusion of that hand, we're up about $1,300. But unfortunately, that will be the peak of our session, because now we get into a couple of very difficult spots. Here, we pick up Ace Jack of Spades under the gun +1. Under the gun, who I believe is the best player on the table, opens to $20 and we 3-bet to $60. The cutoff flats to $60 and the under the gun player also decides to call. We go 3 ways to a flop of King King 6 rainbow. Under the gun checks and I c-bet $75 with my ace high here. Cutoff folds and under the gun makes the call. We go heads up to a turn. The turn is 7 of clubs, completing the rainbow. Under the gun checks once again on the turn, and I still have a lot of strong kings in my range like ace king, king queen, king jack suited, king 10, and there's a lot of hands in his range that called the flop like 7-6 or pocket pairs that might fold to more aggression, so I fire once again, this time for $200. If I get called here, depending on what the river card is, I can fire a third big barrel. Unfortunately, he's gonna make a stand right here and check raises me to $575. There's really not much I can do here. Jamming as a bluff doesn't make much sense because there's not many bluffs in his range that would take this line. So in the end, I fold and he shows me the 8 of spades, indicating that he most likely bluffed me. In fact, he would later tell me that he folded 8-9 of spades, so he managed to pick up an up and down straight draw on the turn. It's a bit of an ambitious float on his part, but he won the pot, so what do I know? Now we take a look at a hand where my read was completely wrong and I'm just so disappointed with myself. I get dealt 5-6 of clubs on the button. Under the gun limps $5, under the gun +1 opens to $25, MP calls, I call, small blind calls, big blind calls, and under the gun also calls. We're gonna see a flop 6 ways. I couldn't ask for a better flop. The dealer deals out a beautiful 7-5-4 rainbow, giving us the nut straight. The action checks around to me, and there's no way I'm gonna give these guys a free turn, so I bet $50. And here is where things get really crazy. The small blind check raises to $150 and the big blind check raises to $500. The rest of the players fold, and now I have a decision to make. I can go all in right here, right now, or I can slow play my hand a little bit and hope the small blind and big blind makes a mistake on the turn. I decide to get a little bit greedy here, so I just call the 500 and the small blind gets out of the way. We go heads up to a turn. The turn's terrible. It's another 4, pairing the board. I'm pretty sure my hand's no good anymore. His hand is just screaming either set or straight on the flop, and now he's bolted up or we're chopping. So when he checks, I just check back, hoping that it goes check check on the river. The river doesn't matter too much here. It's the 10 of clubs. And he thinks for a little bit before going all in for $500, and I go into the tank. The price is pretty good here, but I'm 100% sure he's got a boat, and the worst hand he can have is a straight. So if I call here, the best I can hope for is a chop. He's got about 3 combos of straights, 1 combo of quads, 3 combos of 7s, and 3 combos of 3s. So if I call here, I will chop the pot maybe 30% of the time, and I'll lose about 70% of the time. Even though, again, I am getting an amazing price to call here, I just don't think I have the right odds to call profitably, and I make a tough fold. And with that, all my winnings so far for the session has been erased, and I go back to my starting stack. After those two brutal hands, we need to focus and regain some lost ground, and I pick up a good hand to do just that. We get pocket queens in UTG +1, and I open the action to $10. The cutoff calls, the small blind puts a 3-bet to $50. We're both about $1,000 deep, and I want to play a big pot, so I 4-bet to $185. The cutoff gets out of the way, and the small blind calls. Going heads up to the flop, it comes King 9 deuce, 3 diamonds, and the villain donks out $100. I could call here if I had the queen of diamonds, but since I don't, my hand just has a really hard time improving. I think I'm just gonna fold and find a better spot. The good news is that the villain was nice enough to show us his hand, and he shows ace king with the ace of diamonds, so I don't feel too bad about my fold. I think we can move on. That's 3 hands in a row that we've lost now, and our session is coming to an end. This will be the last hand that we cover, and if I want to book a win, we're going to have to win this hand right here, right now. We get dealt black 8s in the big blind. Under the gun limps, under the gun +1 makes it 20 to go. MP calls, cutoff calls, I call, and UTG calls as well. We're going to go to the flop 5 ways. The flop comes Jack 9-7 two-tone. It gets checked to UTG +1, and he c-bets $50. The cutoff calls, and I'm going to be fancy here. I check raise to $225 with my 3rd pair and gut shot. UTG folds, but accidentally exposes his hand. Queen 6 of clubs. UTG +1 calls, and the cutoff folds. We now go to the turn heads up. Turns to 6 of spades, giving us an up and down, and I feel like he can still have a lot of overpairs and 1-pair type of hands as the pre-flop aggressor. This board definitely hits my range harder than it hits his range, and I'm going to apply maximum pressure here and put him to the test. I go all in for $615, and he thinks about it for a bit before letting his hand go. This was revenge for bluffing me earlier off my straight, and we cash out after this hand. And at the end of the day, we are in the profit for $307. It's far away from our peak, but that's poker. And this is all I got for you guys for this session. It's going to be a while for my next vlog since I'm going to be in Vegas for a few weeks. But stay tuned because I'm sure to get some good footage there. And I'll see you guys in the next vlog.